Namo Buddhaya. Good evening, everyone, and welcome you all to our What Buddha Said class. First, I'm gonna pay homage to the Buddha. You can also join me, or you can observe me. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May my homage to my teacher, Pinot Lokuswamin Wahanse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends, today I thought to talk about anger. What do you think? Is it good? I think so. Because we all have anger issues. So we until we get rid of anger, we have to learn about anger. And we have to learn how to get rid of anger. So there is a sutta. In that sutta, the Buddha said, if your mind is overcome by anger, then you can think like this. You can reflect like this. Buddha says you should reflect, oh, my mind is overcome by anger. Why does my mind overcome by anger? Because I don't know about anger as someone who eradicated anger. So why do we get angry? Why our mind is overcome by anger? Because we don't know about anger as someone who eradicated anger. So it means until we get rid of anger, we should learn about anger and we should learn how to get rid of anger. So when we have a complete knowledge about anger, then we will not have anger in our mind. So today we are going to learn about some techniques that we can use to get rid of anger. Okay, first we need to understand causes of anger, how anger arises in our mind. So Buddha says because of two reasons anger arises in our mind. The first one, that is the most important, mark of anger, or you can say mark of irritation, and then unwise thinking or unwise consideration. So because of those two things, anger arises in our mind. So let's try to understand mark of anger. What is that? Or mark of irritation. What is that? So think about a moment that you got angry. So at that moment, something you experienced unpleasant. So when you experience pleasant things, do you get angry? Never. But when you experience something unpleasant, anger rises in your mind. So anger is always connected with unpleasant feeling. So you know there are three types of feelings: pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neutral feelings. So when we get pleasant feelings, we will not get irritated by pleasant feelings. But when we get unpleasant feel, then we get irritated by that. So the first thing is the irritation, not the anger. Irritation. So it means like suppose okay, you are going to fly, and then 3 hours in advance, or maybe 2 hours in advance, or if someone like me just 30 minutes in advance, you go to the airport. Okay? And then, so because now you have an idea to fly, and because you have some special important things. So, but at the airport, you learn flight is delayed. So before you had some kind of expectation. Oh, my flight is on time. Then I can fly as I planned. Then I will be landed as I planned. Then everything would be good. But now what happened? Your flight is delayed. So you had some expectation, and then you had some attachment to that expectation. Now your expectation doesn't meet. Then what happened? Irritation arises. First thing is the irritation. That unpleasant feeling arises in your mind and your body. Then what happens? In no time, your mind starts to think unwisely. Oh, I have so many important things to do. So why did this happen? Oh, I should have booked a flight with a different airline. So many unwise thinking happens. With that, anger arises in your mind. So based on that, so the mark of irritation, okay, the mark of irritation is not in, is it in external world or is it in internal world? Internal. It's not in external world. Mark of irritation. Why? If mark of irritation is in the external world, we will never ever be able to get rid of anger. Why? Because we cannot control that. So based on the unpleasant thing that we experience, mark of irritation arises inside of our mind, not in the external world, inside of us. Then we take this mental object. So it's a mental object. Then we take this mental object, not we, like our mind takes that mental object, then think unwisely. Then anger arises in our mind. So if we keep think unwisely, then it becomes more stronger. Then you become furious. I think a couple of days ago, it happened in India. Okay? All over the India, I think. So many flights were cancelled and delayed. Okay, so people were furious. So it happens. Oh, so this is one example. So you can look back and you can get so many examples in your life. So try to understand the mark of irritation, and based on that, how you do the unwise thinking, then how anger rises in your mind. Okay, before moving to next part, do you have anything to ask about this?
Yes, I do have a question, Bante.
Yeah.
So let's say that if I'm so angry with something, so I note that I had the mark of irritation. I know why I'm very angry and it's unwise. So how can I switch from angry to not angry? That's the question.
Okay.
So hard.
Yes.
I know the origin, I know why, but I just cannot switch to not angry, not being angry.
Okay, that's a good question, Selena. So we all need to do we all need to learn how to do that. Okay. So uh, so why is it important to understand that mark of irritation, okay, or mark of anger? Because then it that understanding will help us to control ourselves next time when we go through some unpleasant experience, unpleasant feeling. Okay. So then we know, okay, when I go through some unpleasant experience, when I have some unpleasant feelings, that I get irritated. So then that experience stays in my mind as the mark of irritation, as the mark of irritation. Then we think upon that mark of irritation. Then anger rises in our mind. And so another thing we do is we attach to our expectation. So that's another thing. Since we have a strong attachment to our expectation, then very easily we get irritated when our expectations don't meet. So always we have expectations for the happiness. So we always, do you expect bad things to be happen? No, you always want good things to be happen. That's your wish, but there is a problem with that wish. So everything starts with that wish. So why? Because even though we wish for the happiness, we don't get always. So, but since we have a strong attachment to that expectation, when we don't get that, and when we experience some unpleasant thing, then we very easily we get irritated. We get irritated. Then we start to think unwisely, unwisely. Okay? So before anger arises, we should learn how to avoid that. So that is the first thing. That's the most important thing. Before it arises, we should learn how to avoid. So, Lena, right now, you don't have anger. You had anger in the past. Okay? You had in the past. Okay? It means now you are going to avoid future anger. So first you are going to avoid future anger. So because yes, you have had anger, but it happened in the past. Right now, I'm pretty sure you don't have any anger in your mind. So, but we know anger could arise in the future. Why? That mechanism is within us. It is in us. So because of that, first we should try to avoid the future anger. So how can we do that? Like always, we need to understand impermanence of our life. So that is one thing, impermanence. So the we should understand everything is subject to change, and we should always remind it to ourselves. Just knowing is not enough. Just knowing is not enough. Always we should remind to ourselves everything is subject to change. Happiness is subject to change. Good things are subject to change. Everything is subject to change. So when we have that understanding, it helps us not to attach to our expectation. So it helps us to weaken our attachments to the expectations. And also, another thing we need to understand, everything is conditional. Everything is conditional. So when we experience something, it is already made. It's already made. It's already happened. Your anger cannot change it. Your anger cannot change something which is already happened or already made in your life. It means we always experience something that is already made. Okay. If you go to airport, when you go to airport, if flight is delayed, it's already happened. That moment is already made. It's already made. And if you hear some harsh words from someone, so as soon as you heard that, it's already happened. It's already made. That moment is already made. So even if you get irritated, your irritation cannot change it. So if we have that understanding, oh, this is already happened, my anger cannot change that. Getting irritation cannot change that. That understanding also helps us not to get irritated, or even if we get irritated, it helps us not to get angry over that. So those are two things we need to always remind ourselves. One thing is impermanence, everything is subject to change. The other thing is always we experience things that are already made. So it means we have the view of self. It means we have a wrong view that I can change this moment. I can change. So, we are desperate to change that experience, that moment. So, but it's already made. Even though we are desperate, is that right, that word? Even though we are desperate, we cannot change that moment. Okay? We cannot change that moment. So if we can understand, then we can tell ourselves, oh, let it be, or let them. Why it is already made? You cannot change that. So that understanding also helps us to get rid of that irritation, and also it also helps us to not to get angry with that irritation. So those are two things that we can do to avoid irritation and also to avoid anger. Okay. Another thing, yes, Tina?
Bhante, I have a question. Does Roots have anger? You know, sometimes if you're talking to someone and you didn't really do anything to make them angry, but they just get angry or irritated, does that mean because there's like it's nothing I did or that person did, but the other person just kind of blow up for no reason? So my question, I guess, is, does Roots of anger, is it coming from somewhere else? Like the past, for example?
No, the thing is, like, people experience things in a different way. Okay? So you might talk to someone with a very gentle word, but at that moment, those words could be a kind of unpleasant experience for that person. Okay? That what happened to me with my one of my sisters. So I think I shared that before. So one of my sisters, she was always gentle with me, always speak very gentle word. But whenever I hear her words, I get irritated. I don't know why. Because for me, those words are not pleasant. So because all of those things are conditional. That's why, like, you might like one food, another person could hate that same food, because that craving, that desire also conditional. Everything is conditional. So that's why you might think, oh, I speak good words, I'm very gentle, but they get angry. So what to do? So because at that moment they experience something unpleasant. So because it based on their conditions, So now, okay, we need to understand impermanence, and also we need to understand everything is conditional. Or in other words, every moment that we experience is already made. So then we can think, oh, let it be, or let them, or something that you try to understand. I cannot control this moment because it's already made, it's already happened. So actually that is one thing that helped me a lot to control my anger as well. So because after something happened, even if you are desperate to change that, we cannot do that because it's already happened. So that moment is already made, that what we experience is already made. So we can change that. So then we can understand, oh, let it be. So that is another thing we can do. And then we should do another thing. We should understand the drawbacks of anger. So you can learn it from your experiences. As Lena said, like, Lena, you can look back and understand, oh, on that day when I got angry, oh, it was so painful. So because of that, on that day, it ruined my relationship with my colleagues or with my friends. So then we can learn the drawbacks of anger from our experiences. Then we should always reflect on that. So we can give a suggestion to our mind always. Oh, anger is an evil thing. Anger is not good for me. Anger is not good for others. Anger ruins my relationships. Anger destroys my mind. Anger is very painful. So we keep giving those suggestions to our mind, all the information about anger. So then when we do that, we practice wise thinking. When we do that, we practice wise thinking. And also it helps us to improve our mindfulness about anger, our awareness about anger. So then when it's something like this, suppose, do you know, like there are some games, like there is a hidden guest and you have to discover that guest. Have you played something like that? Okay, or okay, then a different thing. Suppose like you have to meet someone, okay, at some place. It's a very crowded place, okay, but you haven't met that person before. Okay, so then you just want to meet that person. Okay, then you go to that crowd, but you cannot identify that person because you don't have any data about that person. But someone tells you, oh, his dress is like this, and his face is like this. Then very easily you can recognize that person. You can identify that person. Likewise, when we give those information about anger, always, then our mind is prepared to identify anger when anger arises in our mind. So That is another thing we need to do. Okay? So if you want to avoid future anger, from today we should give those data about anger to our mind. Then it helps us to arouse our mindfulness.
Yeah.
Then we can be aware of anger when anger arises in our mind. As soon as anger arises, it's easy to get rid of. Now, why do we feel it's a little bit difficult to get rid of? Because we notice anger after some time it arises in our mind. So then it has become stronger. Then it is difficult to get rid of. But when we give the information about anger, then whenever anger arises in our mind, as soon as anger arises in our mind, we can identify anger. Then sometimes as soon as we identify anger, anger fades away in our mind. If it doesn't fades away, then what should we do? Then we can apply some methods to get rid of that. So we have talked about some methods that we can use to get rid of distracting thoughts. Okay? One thing is we can focus on some wholesome thing. Okay? So suppose like now you keep thinking about some a particular person, because of that anger arises in your mind. So then instead of focusing on that person, you can focus on something wholesome. Then anger will fade away in your mind. So that is one technique you can do. Another technique you can do, you can again, now you have thought about all the drawbacks of anger. Now very easily you can again reflect on the drawbacks of anger. So now suppose anger is in your mind, then you can think, oh, now anger has arisen in my mind. Anger is not good for me. Anger is not good for others. Anger is evil. Anger destroy my happiness. So you can reflect on all the drawbacks of anger, then anger will fade away from your mind. Another thing you can do, we have talked about this before, like understanding how anger is, how angry thoughts are formed in your mind. So one simple thing you can do, you can go backward of the stream of thoughts until you find the initial point of anger. So suppose like at your workplace, okay, not at your workplace, suppose like now you're at home, okay, suddenly you get angry with someone, maybe one of your colleagues, okay, so then you can go backward, why I started to think about that person, and then you will remember, oh, because of this reason I started to think about person. Then you can understand why I thought about this particular thing. So likewise, you can go backward until you go to the starting point of your anger. Then anger will fade away from your mind. So that's another thing you can do. So those are a couple of methods that you can apply to get rid of anger. And again, let me come to the understanding impermanence part. Okay? Impermanence. So, we connect with the external world through our sense faculties. So it means based on the information that we get from our sense faculties, either we get angry or we get or desire arises in our mind. So now when we experience some unpleasant thing through our sense faculties, then what happens? We get irritated, then anger rises in our mind. But what if we understand impermanence of our sense faculties? Then we can let go of that unpleasant feeling. So suppose you see someone is doing a wrongful thing. Okay? Then when you see that, you get angry. But if you try to understand the impermanence of that moment, so you can focus on your eyes. So these eyes are impermanent, and what I'm seeing right now is impermanent. So then you can detach from that moment. Then anger will not arise in your mind. And suppose you hear someone blames you. Okay? So when someone blames you, if you can understand the impermanence of that moment, then you can let go of that. Then you can bring your mind to the present moment, and then you can find your peace within you. So there is another thing you can do. And also we need to understand. So actually, anger arises inside of our mind. Actually, we don't get angry with someone or something. Even though we think I get angry with that person, or I'm angry with that thing. No, we don't get angry with other people. We don't get angry with other things. Then we get angry with the mental object of other people, mental object of other things. Does it make sense? So we don't get angry with other people. So if you get angry right now with someone that gave you a hard time in the past, do you get angry with that person right now? No. You get angry with that mental object of that person. So one part of your mind plays the role of yourself. The other part of your mind plays the role of that other person. Then there is a conflict inside of your mind. So it means actually, if you go a little bit deep, then actually you have got angry with your own mind, not with someone else. So that's why, like, anger arises with this ignorance. So, but if we can understand that, then we know, oh, there's no point of getting angry, because I don't get angry with someone else. I just get angry with myself. So then that understanding also helps us to let go of anger. So I think the last thing is a very powerful thing. So if we can understand, I get angry, I don't get angry with someone else, because that person is not in front of me. So we get angry with those mental images that we have in our mind about that past experiences. So then if we can understand that, then we can let go of that anger that we have toward those mental objects. So then it helps us to find our peace always. And another thing, let me say another thing. Suppose, like, if you have an enemy, and then if you really hate that person, then you should not give any space in your mind to that person. But if you get angry with that person or that mental image of that person, you have already given space in your mind to that person. If you really hate someone, then don't give any space in your mind to that person. If you get angry with the mental image of that person, you have already given space. It means you have embraced your enemy. You don't need to embrace your enemy. Just let them go in your life. So then you can find your peace. So I feel those things will help you to control your anger and get rid of anger. So Do you have anything to ask? Does it make sense? Is it clear?
Will it be the same as if we try not to see that person? Will it work that way? Because I have one particular person that I get so angry whenever I see her. It doesn't matter what she does, but it's true. And she gets so angry whenever she sees me. So we both get angry with one another. So what happened is that we try to avoid one another. Then I won't get angry anymore. So
Yeah, so yeah, that's a one thing you can do, like avoid. You can avoid. So it's another technique to get rid of defilements. But however, what should you do when you see that person? Should you get angry? Now, suppose you try your best to avoid that person, then suddenly she shows up in front of you. Now, what should you do? Okay, now you can practice impermanent meditation. Like you can see, oh, don't focus on the memories of that person. Instead, focus on that visual object. Oh, this is a visual object. And these are eyes. So these eyes are not permanent. I is impermanent. I is not me, not mine, not myself. And the visual object that I'm seeing right now is impermanent. It is not permanent. It is not me. It's not mine. It's not myself. So when you do that, then you can let go of her from that moment. Otherwise, you embrace, even though you hate that person, I mean, even though you don't like to see that person, you embrace that person. So you don't need to embrace that person. Instead, you can let go her. How do you do that? You can just focus on the impermanence of that moment. You can focus on your eyes, or the eye is impermanent. I is not me, not mine, not myself. And visual object. So that person is a visual object. So this visual object is impermanent. It's not me, it's not mine, it's not myself. Then what can you do when you remember that person? Then you can focus on your mind. Oh, mind is impermanent. Mind is not me, not mine, not myself. Thoughts are impermanent. Thoughts are not me, not mine, not myself. Then you can let go of those mental images of that person.
it didn't work too well for me. It was my in-laws. So, one time I tried my best. I meditate the whole time and then they were saying, "What are you doing? It's family gathering, and here you are sitting in the corner meditating." Because I'm trying not to be angry, right? So what else can I do? So
then what you can do, ears are impermanent, ears are not me, not why now they say something to you, or ears are impermanent, ears are not me, not mine, not myself. And sound is impermanent, sound is not me, not mine, not myself. I know it's not easy, it's very difficult, but we can do that. So we can give it a try. We can give it a try. So next time when you see that person, someone that you don't like, instead of trying to avoid that person, try to practice this. You try to practice impermanent. So if you keep doing that, then there will be a moment, even if you see that person, you will not get irritated. Okay? But the thing is like, because we can do that. I agree, it's not easy. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Okay? It's very difficult, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. You can do that. And another thing, one of the best things we can do to get rid of anger. Okay, I will say that after hearing Tina's question. Yes, Tina?
Bhante, I was going to say, what about metta, sending them metta? Because just like
Yeah.
Lena, I had in-laws like that as well. I don't see them anymore, but it's I find loving kindness help when around someone who is a little bit irritating. I have this one lady at work. She's older, and I can understand, as you get older, you get more irritated with things. But I just keep sending her metta. I keep saying it to
Yeah.
myself as I'm at my desk. And now we're so close.
Okay,
Like
that's good.
she doesn't get like I got to know her and where her irritation is coming from as well. And it's aging, as we age, we get things
Yeah.
bother us. But yeah, metta, I find that helps me. Not all the time, but I keep trying. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
easy, but just keep trying.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So that's what I was about to tell, that practicing loving kindness meditation is very helpful to get rid of anger. And also Buddha says, one of the suttas, like if you have hatred or if you have some anger towards someone, then as Tina said, spread love and compassion toward that person. So then you can replace those thoughts of irritation with love and compassion. So that is one of the best things that we can do, practicing loving kindness meditation, spreading love and compassion toward that person, not only toward that person, to everyone in this world. And then when, if we can fill our hearts with love and compassion, then there won't be any space for anger or hatred. So that is another thing we can do. And let me add one more thing to that, giving a suggestion to your mind. So suppose like if you, now there is a person that you don't want to see. So, but I might see that person tomorrow or maybe next week. Then from today, you can prepare yourself for that. Okay? So you can give a suggestion, when I see that person, okay, I will practice this impermanent meditation. Okay? I will not get irritated. Instead of that, I will contemplate on impermanence of visual object and eyes, ears and sounds. Then you prepare yourself to face to that moment.
Bhante, I was wondering where forgiveness comes in here. Can we employ forgiveness?
Yeah, of course. Like we can forgive other people, but the thing is, sometimes our mind is not ready to forgive someone. So, but we can understand, we should understand why we should forgive someone. Not that person deserve the forgiveness, but we deserve peace and happiness. Because if we don't forgive someone, then what happens? Like we hold on to all the negative emotions. So to release all the negative emotions, then we can forgive other people. So then we can understand, okay, they did these wrongful things because of the ignorance of that person. So we can understand their conditions. Okay? So they did those things, okay, because they didn't know these things were wrong. And they did those things because at that moment, their mind was overcome by a defilement, a negative thought. That's why they did this bad thing to me. So then we try to understand their conditions. And by understanding their conditions, then we can also forgive them. Another thing, if we can understand, like, okay, when someone does some wrongful things or bad things, they do that because of the negative thoughts, because of the defilements in their mind. So when they don't have negative thoughts, defilement, they don't do any wrongful things. They don't do bad things. So then, who is the real enemy? That person or the defilements? Now, suppose someone blame you. Okay? Someone blames you, or someone insult you with harsh words. So now we get angry with that person. But if we go deep and if we analyze the situation, then we can understand. So that person got angry with me at that moment. That why that person insulted me. Then who is my real enemy? That person or the anger that led that person to insult me? Anger. Anger that arose in that person's mind. Then we can say, we can understand, if I get angry with that person, then I embrace my enemy. I be friend with my enemy and I hate someone else. So then we understand, okay, that person did that thing because of anger. So if I get angry with that person, it's not good for me because anger is the real enemy, not that person. And then we can understand again the danger of having anger. So then we can think, if I get angry like him, I would also do some bad things like that person. So because of that, I should get rid of anger. I should forgive that person. Then in that way, we can forgive that person, and also we can arouse our energy to abandon negative thoughts that arise in our mind.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Jay. Okay, so I think we have come to the end of our program. So today we talk about many things about anger and how to get rid of anger. I hope these things would help you to fight against with our common enemy, anger. Okay, so let's do the merit sharing. So today we collect a lot of merit. So by the power of all the good karma we collected, with the blessings of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, may you and your loved ones have a long life, healthy life. May you be successful in your endeavors. May all the good fortune come your way. May you always have a peaceful mind, and may you attain bliss of happiness. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now I'm going to chant verses of blessing. Close your eyes and listen to me. Abhivadana silis nichang vadapuchayana chattaro dhamma vadanti ayuvanno sukhang balam ayurarogya sampatti sabba sampatti nevache ato nibbana sampatti iminate samyatu. May you have long life and be free from illness. May you attain bliss of happiness. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.